going on, everyone? Welcome to another Discord Friday. If you guys are new to the channel, this is the Warehouse Series. I am getting real close to 5,000 subscribers. Really happy about that. Guys, if you want to do all this, I really appreciate it. So today we're going to talk about high and lows, and we're going to talk about the block. You hear us talk about block on Discord all the time, and some newer selectors are like, what the heck are you guys talking about? Now, I have done videos on this in the past. One of them is going to be in the description below. You can click that link and watch that video. Guys, I have over 300 videos. So I ask you guys, when you are watching my videos, if you come across a video that I am talking about the block or the pattern of the way that things come off the pallets, can you please post that over on Discord? And that will help people out because it seems like people get confused about what we're talking about. Now, I hope I can clarify some stuff on this video. Like I said, video in the description below if you haven't seen that one. So let's get to the first thing, the high and lows I want to talk about first. All right, guys, so I pulled out a couple pictures of mine, and I just was looking for some high and lows. I do this all the time. I am constantly looking at this. So if I get this red hot right here and I put this case here, I am immediately in my head, I want a tall case with a low case, so I could swap them around and get level again. I am constantly doing this on all my orders, especially when you have a lot of cases that are a lot of different sizes. So I just want to say real quick, now, I don't think I did this, but I just want to throw this scenario out there. Let's say I get the red hot right here, and then I get this case, and then I put the hostess here. Well, now I'm looking for a case that is going to be level or just a little lower. I don't want this middle case to be higher. I always want to picture that lower inside with a higher corner. Let's say I put the Velveeta there, or the mac and cheese there, or Kraft rather, and I put this there and it was a little bit higher, and I moved it over here and I waited for my opportunity. Guys, you are almost always going to find that case. All right, almost always. When you're selecting cases like this where you just have a bunch of cases, you're almost always going to find that case. Now, another example, let's say I had a lot of smaller cases coming up. Maybe I was getting a bunch of these tunas right here. Well, maybe I didn't get the Swiss Miss. Take the Swiss Miss out of there, and I'm just going off by looking. Is maybe two of these tunas would equal this or be close enough. Sometimes I do that as well. Or maybe I had cans coming up and I stacked four of these Campbells straight up, and it equals that. It doesn't necessarily just have to be 4 cases. It could be multiple cases right here. Now, I always pick the multiple cases on the inside. I don't want them on my corner because that's giving me a weak corner. I wouldn't stack 4 Campbells up right here. I would always be looking to stack the cases up in the middle of the pallet. All right, guys, here is another one of my orders, another example. We got 2 detergents. We got a high and a low. So in my head, I am automatically thinking I need a tall case. I want to take this case and put it here if I know my order. Maybe I just have big cases coming up, or maybe I would actually, because if I took this case and put it here, maybe one of these cat foods would be enough to equal to it. It's all about knowing your warehouse. I want to take this small case and put it right here if I had all big cases coming, because then I'm not going to complete my high and low. I'm going to put a big case here and look for the opportunity to put a smaller case here. As you can see, there's just a slight lean in, always thinking high corner, low inside. And as you can see, guys, I do this all the time and it always works out for me. It's all about knowing your cases in your warehouse. Now that you got that, I want to do this here. It's the same concept. We put our PREA down. We got this probably more than a slant that we would like to have, but it is slanted inwards, and that's what we want to do. You never want to slant these cases outwards because you're creating a sliding board, and when you put a case on top of it, when you start driving your jack and it starts bouncing around, especially if this is a back corner, more than likely this is going to just fall over. So we got the nice slant coming in. So what do we do here to correct ourselves? All right, so when I get something like this, and I do this, sometimes I will do this, but I'm looking to correct myself immediately. Turn the Prego facing in. So there's our high. All right, now we're gonna look for, so we got this slant coming in. This is our low spot, so we're gonna put our taller case there. We're gonna look for a smaller case to go here, and we're gonna get level again. So that's how you correct this. Turn the Prego facing in, and then you're gonna find a case that's just maybe about an inch smaller than the Prego, and then you're going to stick it right here, and guess what? You're going to be level again. That's how you correct slants like that. High case on the inside, lower case on the outside, and you're level. All right, so with that being said, I hope that cleared some stuff up with your corner there. Hopefully we corrected that. Now I'm going to start talking about the block. So anytime you hear someone at 8 block, 10 block, 12 block, 15 block, all they are talking about is the amount of cases on one single layer. So this Arizona Tea is a 10 block. Now, you don't always have to follow the pattern that comes off the pick. So when you're selecting out of the pick location, and it's a brand new pallet. If you're very confused about what the block is, just look at that full pallet, or even on the dock. When pallets come off the dock and they're sitting on the dock, go look at the top layer and start looking at how they set it up. And that is what the block is. That's how many cases are on that layer. So Arizona tees, they switch them up. They like to turn these cases every which way. I guess it helps tie it in better. I keep things simple when I'm selecting them. So you don't always have to keep the pattern, but try to keep the block, especially when you need quantities. So right here, I needed now these are all different Arizona tees. So you combine all the same cases together to form that block. So this isn't all the same Arizona tee. This is all different Arizona tees, but this is how I throw my Arizona tees when I need a lot of them. Here's a 10 block, and then you got the 2, which I changed the direction of it to tie things in. So that is one scenario right there. Remember, watch the video below. So let's look at now that you understand that what we're talking about. 12 block is 12 cases on a layer. Now, I want to try to get in a scenario where you only need a few cases, and how do we still follow that block? Well, right here, I needed 3 mayonnaise. All right, I needed 3 mayonnaise, and I kept the way the block comes. These are an 8 block, so it's 4 pointing in with 4 pointing in. That is the way the block comes, so I kept it the same way. I don't have them facing back like this towards the middle. I don't have 2 here. So I want to tell you some stuff, okay? So this is learning your system, learning your process here. So in the back of my pallet, there are times I will put 3 going this way if I have enough levelness to do it. As you can see right here, I was more concerned about tying in this way than going back this direction. Now that I have this level layer solid, I'm going to start thinking I need cases to go this way, because I don't want to column stack this all the way up the back. I want that nice strong back. If I keep column stacking this up, my whole entire back of my pallet's going to fall over. So this right here gives me that nice wide surface where now I'm going to start turning cases this direction, because the majority of the case is going to be sitting on the mayo, and only a little bit will be sitting into the gap depending on what I put in there. And that is going to take weight distribution from the back of the pallet and point it towards this middle line. I tell you guys, the back of my pallet, I like to try to get that weight distribution going towards this middle line of the cross. And then when I'm on the front of the pallet, I like my weight distribution pointing towards this line of the cross. See how everything's pointing in? I do the same thing every single time. All right, so see the third mayo? It's not back here because I wasn't level anywhere. It's a long case, so it's not fitting on my corner. I'm not stacking it on top of here because I just told you I want to focus on putting cases facing in. I don't want to column stack the back of my pallet. It's not a good thing to do. You can see the back of this pallet is nice and tied in. It's a nice wall. We got 2 similar cases facing back, all right, keeping like cases together. And that mayo right there, I must have had a level going from here to my middle column, and I tied that all in. So I always look for opportunities on my pallet. And if you stay pretty level throughout both of your pallets, you're always going to have those opportunities. I hope that makes sense. Let's get on to the next picture, and hopefully this comes together more. All right, so this one right here, we're in a produce warehouse. So these grapes come in a 5 block. Well, we're not going to put these grapes facing back, and we're not going to put grapes facing back right next to it, because that is not the way the block is. The block's a 5 block. So that's the strongest way that you could put these cases on your pallet. So once again, we're not going to put these back and take these and turn them right here and then leave ourselves a small corner. Okay, we're not going to do that because we're not going to fit nothing there. We're going to keep the 5 block going. Now, I have told you guys in the past, and I do it all the time, when you have the same cases, even if these are different products, I column stack these because they all lock in together. I don't find a need to rotate and tie in grapes because they all lock together, unless you just feel like you're comfortable with doing that. So with that being said, the strawberries come in a, oh God, it's been a while since I threw strawberries. I want to say a 6 block. I think they come in a 6 block. They're wider strawberries. They come in a 6 block. This is how they're facing on the pallet. Same as the grapes. Why would we change the direction of this case? Why would we put one back this way and one in? That's not the way it comes off the pallet. So we're following the block. We're following the block by keeping them facing inwards. We're not going to have one going back like this, like we're going to 5-block it. So we're following the block. Mushrooms, coming to 5-block, we're following the block. Once the same with the grapes. You don't see us keeping like 2 here with the small corner. That is what you do when you select from the one pallet to the next, to your pallet. You keep the same direction that it comes off the pallet, and your pallets will look a lot stronger. All right, now I threw this up there because the one picture you sent me had these on there. This is how I like doing this stuff. There's skinny cases, and I hate stacking on these cases. These Deer Parks, I swear they just come in 2s. I always get 2 of these, so I always stick them on the back corner because they're flat and they're fatter cases. They're wrapped really well too. They wrap these a lot better than these things. But see how my corners are nice and strong? If I have to put these on the corner, they're going on the corner. If I don't have to, see, nice big surface. So I'm giving myself nice big surfaces, nice big strong corners to stack on, and I'm keeping these within the middle of the cross. You see how they're within that, or the T part, you know, the upside down T. All my treble cases I like to keep in there, but you're not always able to stack like this. But as many times as I possibly can, I will. And I keep my nice strong corners, and I just want to show this because you posted a picture like this. All right, now we are going to look at a couple orders of people that did not follow the block. And as you can see, their pallets are not that sturdy. All right, this is not how this comes. Look at all these holes. So I would have took all of these and faced them in. All right, 3 facing inwards. This is a person that is, I actually think I put this on my video, level at all cost. They want to be level. They don't care how big their holes are in there because they're going to use a slip sheet every layer. I 1000% disagree with this. I think this is a horrible way of building because I just don't think it's a sturdy pallet. And you're wasting a lot of cube by keeping all these gaps in here and all these holes. So your pallet's going to be a lot bigger than it has to be. But this is one result of not following the block. And you can see how crappy it looks. Here's another one, not following the block. We call them stacked all this stuff. And look how crappy it looks. Guys, if this is your work, I'm sorry, but this is a very bad looking pallet. And we've talked about this in a previous video as well. This is straight column stack and stuff you don't have to column stack. Look at all these Gatorades. I would imagine the Gatorades came first. So even if we have a half a pallet, you could still block this on half your pallet. You could still block it. You could still use the pattern it comes off of. All these Gatorades could have been nice and tied in as a base on half the pallet. Just because you don't have a full pallet to work with to get a full layer of Gatorades, you could still use half the pallet and just use the block on half the pallet and rotate that block on half the pallet. This could have been a phenomenal looking pallet. Look, he did it back here. So we got a nice tied in base back here. So whatever the block is that they use back here, you could have used it on half the pallet. Take out this middle column right here. That Gatorade could have made a nice solid base. This is a prime example of not following the block and just throwing to throw. Another one. All right, this is another one of not following the block. Why do I say that? So you saw with the Arizona tees. All right, so the way they come. Now we have all these Arizona tees right here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know if there's any on the inside of this pallet, but we could have easily 3-blocked the Arizona tees in the back of this pallet if we needed to. And we could kept switching the rotation on the way up, and it would have worked really well. And then you could see that some of these mott's and this, they actually line up with these. So we could have probably formed a wall straight across the back with all these cases. With the 4 Arizona tees, the Hawaiian Punch, this, and whatever's on the other side, because I guarantee there's more over there. We could have formed a nice tied-in wall. So just like I said with the Gatorade, split the pallet in half and do the block. Well, split the pallet in half this way and do the block. We could have done it just as easy on this side. Once again, you do not want to column stack this stuff. This is the back pallet is nice and tied in because we got a whole base of pop. Now you could column stack like he did back here once you establish that nice strong base, because then your pallet's really not going to fall over that much. But when you're column stacking from the beginning of the pallet down on the bottom of the order, you are asking for trouble, especially when it's weight like this. This could have been an easily tied in pallet if they followed the block. All right, guys, so that was the last of that. I know it's a lot to take in, and it's honestly something that you just learn over time. It is very confusing sometimes to comprehend what I'm saying on here. I'm trying my hardest to explain this. Now, the more seasoned selectors are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. So please come on Discord and just start chiming in, and maybe somebody else could explain it better than me, or maybe they could elaborate on what I said and even show pictures. So maybe come over on the Discord and we could even elaborate more on this. Now, I want to end with one more thing someone posted on over on Discord. Guys, two things as a high lift operator. All right, first of all, I noticed this right away. Look at this pallet sticking out. So if you're putting this pallet away right here and you start bringing your forks down, and maybe your tilt was up and you start dragging the pallet back out with you, reset it, guys. Pick it up, take the time to pick it up and reset it. This is ridiculous. This should not be hanging out like this, and it almost looks like it dipped down a little bit, so maybe it fell within the rack, but this could easily be reset, and it's ridiculous someone left it like this. Now, this right here, I don't know what the heck's going on, because all of these pallets are facing frontwards, front end. This looks like it's facing sideways. So what I was thinking, and this is ridiculous if it is, that this is on top of another piece of pallet. So because I'm looking at this white wood right here, and I'm curious, and this is a tall pallet of like water or something that has no business, in my opinion, being on the top shelf. Shouldn't even be that high stacked in the reserve. This thing should be about right here. There should be 3 layers taken off the top of this. It should never be this tall up in that pallet, or up in the rack rather. But it looks like they're underneath the pallet. So I was curious, is this person not paying attention and they had this on top of another piece of wood? Why do they do that? Sometimes these pallets are awkward and they don't fit in the rack properly. So instead of just restacking the whole pallet, and they don't want to do it, they'll take this and stick it on a piece of blue wood or something. And maybe this person wasn't paying attention and they just went underneath the piece of brown wood that was there, the white wood, and then it was on another pallet. I don't know. I'm just guessing because we're under it. This is just crazy. So with this being said, if this ever happens to you, you're pulling out, your pallet starts falling, you're catching something, guys, you can feel resistance on the high lift. You feel your forks moving, you feel resistance. Anytime you feel resistance, anytime you see something over, stop immediately. I cannot how many times I see replenishment operators will keep pulling. If it's stuck, stop. And I've mentioned this on one of my forklift videos. Get off the forklift, off the high lift, reach lift, whatever you want to call it. Look up and assess the situation. And maybe you need another forklift to come in to help you get this down. Because it's a possibility that this, I don't know if it fell or not, but we could save this by getting more forklift operators in there, or even more inexperienced reach lift operator in there to help save this pallet. Don't ever feel like you're putting yourself down by getting help from someone else. I'd rather get someone else to help me with this, to get it down, than me drop it and then have a mess everywhere. So anytime you feel resistance, stop immediately. Anytime your pallet starts rocking like that, stop, because something is going on that is going to cause a mess and even cause an injury. So that's what I want to talk about with this. All right, guys, that's it. If you're new to the channel, thank you for watching. Let me in the comment sections, any questions. Join that Discord, guys. It's free. You're going to get a ton of help over there from a lot of people. We got, I don't even know, 800. There's a lot of people over on Discord helping you. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.